$600. Also available in barbecue. A finger-licking good deal. KFC.
Informative, educational, insightful. Let's talk justice and tackle topics like constitutional rights and reform, domestic violence, rights issues that affect you. Let's talk justice. Every Tuesday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on The Bridge 99 FM. Call in, share your thoughts and questions. Be empowered. Know your rights. Let's talk justice. Courtesy of Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, ensuring access to justice for all.
Justice, justice for all. Justice.
Hungry for deals? Get the new Crunch Sandwich Combo from KFC for just $600. A finger-licking good deal. The time by KFC is
1 o'clock.
Watch on, man, you don't know this advice at the end present for The Bridge 99 FM connecting. We said that station, you're a leader. And we said, get him like a time, a like a feature. Under the moonlight and sense of me, yeah. The Bridge 99 FM, Diana representing.
The people's champion. Our mission is love. Our vision is love. Jamaicans for justice, the people's champion, champion, champion. Justice, justice for all. Justice under the law. Justice, Jamaica demand. Right to life, right to liberty. Justice, justice for all. Justice under the law. Justice, the people demand. Right to life and security. Oh, what a joy. Oh, what a peace. How great this country could be. Respecting your rights, respecting human rights. What a wonderful nation this could be. Out of many we are one in a Jamaica. Make it a better place for the boys and girls. Created equal by the creator.
Happy Tuesday to all our listeners. Thank you so much for your continued audience with the JFJ's team. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Justice. And today we're talking justice issues on the matter of the tabling of the Auditor General's report. But before we get into it, just a little bit of a housekeeping. Vanessa Parkinson, our program officer, who is our weekly producer, she is not with us today. She's joining us remotely and assisting us with the live streaming on our YouTube platform. But my co-host has left me in the studio, and she is assuming the function of producer, but she will join me. That's Jade Williams. She will join me at 1:45 for the last 15 minutes of the show. All right, so I will see how best I can steer the ship for the next few minutes. Now, we're going to also be shifting things around a little bit. So the week that was, we will table that discussion because you saw several human rights issues emerging, and I want us to have a little bit of a conversation in the last 15 minutes. That shooting that was done by Bugwalk with 27-year-old Romari Sterling, and you had another shooting done by Old Harbour. So we're going to be having a little bit of a discussion around that human rights policing conversation, as well as some other matters that we saw emerging in the public space. But I want to focus the next few minutes before we bring on our guest, just to explain some constitutional and governance provision that I think perhaps may be missed in this conversation that we're having around the tabling of the Auditor General's report. So while I'm speaking, you're going to be seeing, for example, me making reference to the script that we have here. Now, the public is reminded that last year you had another House Speaker, that's Marissa Dalrymple Philibert. She is or was the Member of Parliament done by Trelawney before she had some allegations coming about some high-end vehicle and so on that was not declared to the Integrity Commission, and the country saw her resignation, not only as House Speaker, but also as Member of Parliament. So that constituency is actually vacant. And at the time, the former House Speaker made a startling ruling, I think that was last year, February, to indicate that all reports tabled by the House Speaker as submitted by the Auditor General will no longer continue in the manner that we have seen by convention and practice, but certainly as we understood it to be in law. So the ruling suggested that the Auditor General's reports, and there are different kinds. You have the audit of accounts, which is basically a financial audit of your expenditure for the year. You have reports that the Auditor General would submit that is done by a resolution of Parliament. For example, you may have a project that Parliament may have asked the Auditor General to audit, and the Auditor General would so table those reports. And you also have what we call special reports. These reports are audits of, for example, you saw, for example, reports of JUTC, the Transport Authority, where there were allegations that people did not meet the academic criteria to hold particular positions. So we have seen the nature of those reports. You have seen reports that would give you an indication of whether or not procurement guidelines were being followed, and the Auditor General would have naturally sounded the alarm around those matters. Those are the special reports that we would have seen tabling. Now, that was the ruling. There was another ruling that the House Speaker at the time made regarding the tabling of the Integrity Commission's report. And that ruling indicated that the Integrity Commission's report, they are to go to the Oversight Committee before those reports are actually shared before the House. And let me put in context for the listeners. Reports that are shared before the House automatically becomes public record for our consumption, yours and mine. What is the contention here? When Juliet Holness assumed the role of House Speaker, she upheld the rulings of her predecessor. Important to note as well that Mrs. Holness's predecessor had asked for the opinion of the Attorney General, Dr. McCoy, and the current House Speaker, Mrs. Juliet Holness, has not made the Attorney General's opinion public. We're going to be having a conversation with Ms. Danielle Archer, Principal Director of National Integrity Action, and Ms. Jeanette Calder of the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal. But before we get into the substance of the conversation, let's put some things in context here. The Auditor General is a constitutional authority, and the Constitution sets a framework to ensure that there are checks and balances in how our governance structure operates. I hasten to point out, and our Did You Know for this week is actually speaking to the functions of the Auditor General, and it's very clear under Section 122 of the Constitution, where the Auditor General is constitutionally empowered to operate under the direction of no one, is independent to provide an audit of the agencies, the ministries, and the departments that fall within the executive branch of government. I want the listeners to put in context that the Constitution is so designed where the Auditor General does not submit the reports to the executive body, The Auditor General submits the reports to the legislative branch of government, which is your House of Representatives. Ask yourself why. That is there to ensure that there is effective oversight, checks and balance. Because put in context, you have two branches of government that mix up already. We call it fusion of power. Because your ministers are taken from the lower house and up to 4 from the upper house. So you don't want that reporting of audits to be done to the executive. So therefore, the Constitution designed it where the Auditor General tables those reports to the House of Parliament to ensure that parliamentary oversight is done. So let's put that in context. The second conversation to be had is the role of the Attorney General. Now, if the House Speaker as she ought to, when there is a silence in how the standing orders may govern a particular issue, if the law itself is silent, then the House Speaker within her right must ensure that she seeks guidance in how these things are to be done. Now, the Legislative Council was sought, the opinion, and the Attorney General. You ask yourself the question, why have those reports or the recommendation, the opinions from the Attorney General not yet been tabled? Let's put in context again. The Attorney General sits within the executive branch of government. That is commonly called the government's lawyer. The Constitution of Jamaica don't recognize no political party. So the Attorney General is not the ruling political party's personal attorney. The Attorney General is there. Though that person, that position is appointed by the Prime Minister, the position is there to ensure that the Cabinet has legal advice in governing their duties. The House Speaker is not a member of Cabinet. The House Speaker, as a member of Parliament, would have sought the opinion of the Attorney General. And therefore, the House Speaker is acting on behalf of Parliament. And if you got an opinion on a controversial matter of this, then it is incumbent on the House Speaker to share that opinion not only to the parliamentarians but to also the public. So we are assured that you're acting impartially. The third thing to note is that there's a 2-page letter that has emerged in the public where the House Speaker has apparently saw it fit to discipline, if you will, because that's how I read this letter. It's a disciplinary letter of the Clerk of the House. Again, let's put things in perspective. And I refer you to Section 47 of the Constitution of Jamaica. The Clerk of the House, in hiring that position, and by the way, the Clerk of the House is there to ensure that the parliamentarians themselves are aware of the procedures of Parliament. The Clerk of the House is the only non-parliamentarian who has the power to speak. And that is why when you watch Parliament on PBC, you see where the Clerk of the House will tell you what is on the agenda. The Clerk of the House will do the first, second, and third reading of the bills and so on. That is the role of the Clerk of the House, the person in charge of ensuring that the Hansard, which is the official note-taking of Parliament, is kept. How is that person appointed? The person is appointed by the Governor General upon the advice of the House Speaker. But rest assured that the termination of the Clerk of the House is done based on a 2/3 majority vote of the House of Representatives. There is nothing in the Constitution of Jamaica that says that the Clerk of the House acts under the direction of the House Speaker. And in our humble opinion, the House Speaker has overreached and has arrogated herself with authority that she does not possess. That is a disciplinary letter, and as we stated publicly this morning, it is an inappropriate one. And at this point, JFJ is urging the House Speaker to revisit her decisions that were taken regarding the rulings on the tabling of how reports are to be done. And we're going to be getting into the conversation around, again, the tabling of the reports as provided for in the Constitution, but also has provided for in the Financial Administration and Audit Act. We're going to be having that conversation in short order. And I will also urge the House Speaker to share the opinion that was provided by the Attorney General. And dare I say, the House Speaker owes Miss Valerie Curtis an apology, because to my mind, I can't see how the Attorney General's opinion can't be shared. But a personal letter that ought not to have been written in the first place was made public. We take the break, and then on the other side, we have the discussion with Daniel Archer and Jeanette Calder.
Yeah, this is Angie from Gardentown. In the square, right at Miss Lou's statue. Come check out Kentucky Drinking Salon with the top shelf liquor them. See them like how you see the bridge, 99 FM to the world.
We up, yeah, free up, yeah.
Call
Calling all bridge builders to the Bridge 99 FM, your global partners for outside broadcasts, connecting you from Jamaica to the world.
Where will we go?
From Kingston to Portmore, downtown, Spanish Town, Canada, USA, and as far as Dubai, we keep you connected across the 7 continents of the globe.
Call us at 876-630-3153 for information about partnering with the Bridge 99 FM.
That's 876-630-3153 to take your outside broadcasts to the world.
Tune in, log on and download the Bridge 99 FM app on your mobile device or tablet from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store. That's the Bridge 99 FM, all one word, in the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. The Bridge 99 FM, Caribbean vibes amplified. Download now.
Watch the man, you don't know this advice at the end present for the Bridge 99 FM connecting. We said that station, yeah, a leader. And we said, get him like a time, a like a feature. Under the moonlight and sense of me, yeah. The Bridge 99 FM, Diana representing.
The people's champion. Our mission is love. Our vision is love. Jamaicans for justice. The people's champion. Justice. Justice for all. Justice.
Welcome back to Let's Start Justice. We're discussing the issue of the tabling of the Auditor General's report. And we now have 2 of our very close colleagues online, Ms. Danielle Archer, Attorney at Law, Principal Director of the National Integrity Action, as well as Jeanette Calder. She's the Executive Director of JAMP, Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal. Jeanette, Danielle?
Afternoon, Michaela. Jeanette, we meet again. Good afternoon.
Yes, we have. Good afternoon, Michaela and listeners.
Yes, a very good conversation had yesterday. I won't call the other radio program because we're on Bridge 99, but that was a very good conversation had yesterday evening. So thank you so much. Jeanette, let me start with you. You have an opinion on the interpretation, if you will, on the pieces of legislation that the House Speaker is guiding herself by.
Yeah.
So if you could just give us a breakdown of what is happening there with the section 29 and 30 of the FAA and your thoughts on it, and then we bring in Danielle to share her view as well.
Sure. No problem. Just to say to your listeners that the Auditor General of Jamaica does the kind of work that any auditor does in the private sector. I just say for that first. If you have a company, just picture that, and you put a manager in place. That manager during the year has to make sure that certain laws are obeyed while they're transacting business on your behalf. They're going to be also making sure that they have to meet the objectives of the organization. Maybe you're selling water, maybe you're selling patty, maybe you're selling, legal services, whatever it is. And then they also have to be recording the financial records, how the money is being used, especially if it's coming from you as the owner, how the money is being used. They have to put down their receipts. Every month they have to say what come in, what go out, who get what check and for what. So that happens in the private sector during the course of a year. And the private sector also brings in an auditor on an annual basis to check to make sure that your manager has been following the laws, that they have been accurately recording the finances, and let me be clear, the auditor making sure that the accountant not stealing from you, yes, and they're making sure that the employees also don't have any opportunity to do that, so that certain things are in place. Let's go over to the government. The government has an auditor that does the same thing on behalf of the people of Jamaica, because what? The companies that they're running for us is ours. The money that's in the bank is ours. The land that they're selling and divesting is ours, right? And we are employing 63 parliamentarians to do a job for us. So the Auditor General goes into all the different government companies, executive agencies, public bodies, ministries and departments to check and make sure everything is copacetic for the people of Jamaica. And if it is not, has an obligation to tell the people of Jamaica if things are not being run well and how things need to tighten up. The Auditor General, and I want to make this point, Michael, we see the AG as the scandal generating machine. That's not what the Auditor General is there for. It is to help a PS, help a minister, help a government know how they can tighten up and what they can improve on. She's actually supposed to be the best friend of any permanent secretary.
Absolutely, yes.
So these reports come during the course of the year, and there's an annual report at the end of the year. This whole discussion now, gentle folks, is about the timing. Where is the Auditor General supposed to send our report, and how fast is it supposed to get there? And fundamentally, basically, for the last over 100 years, because this Auditor General has existed before Jamaica became independent, yes? So for well over 100 years, the practice has been, when an Auditor General finishes with a report, as soon as possible, you have to get it in front of the answer is really the people, Michael. The answer is not the parliamentarian. It's in front of the people of Jamaica.
Yes.
But because of all we can't pack up down there, we have our elected representatives who get the reports on our behalf, ask the government any kind of questions they need to make sure things line up back. And that is the process that has been disrupted. So the Speaker of the House, the former Speaker of the House, Marissa Dalrymple Philibert, determined at some point in July, we were told, that we have been doing it wrong. And so she instructed the Parliament, what you would call the CEO of the Parliament, which is the clerk, that no more Auditor General reports are to be tabled immediately when they come. They are to be sent to the minister that is responsible for whichever entity the Auditor General audited. And she believes that according to the law, the minister can review, comment, whatever, and up to 2 months. If the minister doesn't send it to the Parliament, then the Auditor General is to send a copy to them, and they will table it in front of the people's representatives. That's a massive change from what the other 150-odd countries, Michael and listeners, are doing in the Commonwealth. This practice that we just described,
yes,
just about every country in Africa, every country in the Caribbean practices it the same way because it's coming from how the Westminster, the British system, has set it up.
So let me bring in, thanks so much, Jeanette. Let me bring in Daniel. Daniel, the House Speaker has noted Section 13A of the Public Bodies Management and Accountability Act and Section 30 of the Financial Administration and Audit Act to say that those particular sections outline the correct procedure. And you heard Jeanette speaking to it earlier. Do you agree with that view, or do you think there is a misinterpretation of those particular sections and how the different types of audit reports are to be tabled?
Answer, yes, there's a misinterpretation. Because when you look at the sections, they clearly speak to different kinds of report. And I think one of the things that we have to look at is, who are we asking to interpret? I think there's a fallacy that needs to be disproved. The Parliament does not stand as a court in and of itself. They don't make laws and interpret laws. That would be, in our system of democracy, that's wrong. You can't make the laws and interpret them. You make the laws, and then the laws are interpreted by the court. So where we are is that we've had 100 years of practice, which they like to say that this is custom, the very same custom that allowed the Deputy Speaker to rise to Speaker of the House, the same custom that we didn't challenge, is the very same custom that we have used for 100 years, which, guess what? I want people to understand. I don't want you to look at it as a section by section. Because when we're talking to the man in at the bar, and we're talking to the taxi man, and the people in their car, they don't care about no section.
Yes.
They want to know if what you do are the right thing you do. Okay? So what we're talking about is, who has the authority to review these statements or these documents? Which documents go to whom, and which documents go where? And the law for the 100 of years that we've been following it, and what has been happening in other Commonwealth Caribbean countries is best practices, which means that they go to the house so that we, me, you, and the taxi man and the barber shop, everybody can understand what's in the report. And here's the crux, Michaela. All of what we're talking about comes out to transparency and accountability. When the Auditor General presents her report, she's doing what? Checking off to see if the money's spent right. And when you do it this way, you can't help but to have people wonder, I wonder if I because you know one in table make you send them back. Something to hide. And we have to ask this question in the context of being told that the AG is a government lawyer and the House Speaker acts in the interest of the governing party. So who acts on behalf of the people of Jamaica? Who is there to represent us? Because we all seem to forget that once you elevate a political party to government, they have that duty to represent the people, both those who voted and those who didn't vote, both those who are part of their party and those who are not a part of their party, because we all make up the people of Jamaica. So that is what this is about, transparency. Asking the question, are you looking after your own nest and not wanting the people of Jamaica to know? Because otherwise, we have done this before. What's the danger?
Yes.
We seek to correct many things in law. And one of the things that we haven't seemed to want to correct is how quickly we get information about how people's money are spent to the people.
You know, before I bring back in Jeanette, Daniel, just a quick question. What do you think is the mischief that the House Speaker was trying to solve? I think we're all not clear on what exactly the challenges were.
You know, I heard Jeanette utter some explanations on the last interview we shared together. I didn't think highly of that explanation. So I will say, I am unsure of the mischief. And perhaps if they were to tell us what the mischief was, because it can't be that it was being done wrong all this time. That can't be the mischief. The mischief in law goes to what the law was seeking to correct or to change. And the law has clearly indicated where the reports go and when.
Yes.
So for me, with respect and with the highest regard for Parliament, the fact that the House Speaker seeks to cure a mischief would not be for her to do. If there is a mischief to cure, then it must be done the right way, which is by the passing of legislation, not by the ruling of a speaker.
Yes.
That's
Correct.
my opinion.
Absolutely.
I may be wrong.
Jeanette, what did you say was the mischief?
I have invited and asked and encouraged our listeners that, and I'm going to do that here as well, to go to YouTube, look for PBCJ, that's the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica. The government pays a lot of money, folks, to record and to tape these sessions of the House for us for a reason. And so I want us to use it up. Put in November 7, the sitting of the House, and you will hear for yourself the Speaker's explanation and what she had to say about why she's doing this. Now, I didn't catch this reason as the mischief in that actual sitting, but I had another journalist. I was doing an interview, and they informed me that one of the mischiefs that they have been advised is the Speaker and the Parliament is trying to cure is this. They are concerned that if an Auditor General sends a report straight to the Parliament, as have been the practice, it does not give a minister an opportunity to peruse the report. He or she gets it the same time that their other colleagues get it in the House. And they were saying that's not right. Now, I think if you're just listening to it like that, that don't sound unreasonable, Michael.
Sounds fair, eh?
But what I'm here to share with you is because this is the work of the Auditor General, and the laws pertaining to Auditor General is something I've been researching from 2014, since Outameni. Outameni was the issue that got me interested in the Auditor General's work. And what I've been told then, and I'm 100% sure is still the case now, is that the Auditor General, and she says this at the Public Accounts Committee meetings, for those listening, the Auditor General reports are reviewed by a special committee in the House called the Public Accounts Committee. And at that meeting, you will hear her say it all the time, Mikhail, that when I am finished with my report, I always send it to the permanent secretaries. So if it goes to a permanent secretary before it goes off to the Parliament, the whole point of sending it, Mikhail, is to give the PS an opportunity to read it and to disagree, to share it with her team and them disagree. Now, I am saying that I will defend any permanent secretary because I'm coming out of government. There is no permanent secretary who is going to get the kinds of massive, egregious waste, right? Breaches in law, the things that's going to embarrass a minister, that's going to go to the parliament, and don't tell the minister.
And it has implications for them as the technical lead as well.
Absolutely, because it is the permanent secretary that has to go before the parliament and answer questions. So
Yes.
I'm saying that an auditor general always sends every report to the ministry. They have it as long as they need it to ask any questions, agree, disagree. We change it, we not change it. So therefore, when it comes back to the AG after those changes are made, when the AG sends it to the parliament, it means who has already seen it? The minister.
Yes.
The permanent secretary. So it cannot be that that is the mischief that we're trying to solve.
And the legislation is clear in our estimation, but we will have a discussion. Just please stay with us for another few minutes. Sure. On the other side of the break, Daniel, Jeanette, I want us to discuss the implications of this particular ruling, the tabling of the opinion from the Attorney General, and I'm not sure if you've both had an opportunity to read that 2-page letter that was sent to the clerk of the House, but I just want your opinion on that as well.
Sure.
We take the break.
Hungry for deals? Get the new Crunch Sandwich Combo from KFC for just $600. A finger-licking good deal. The time by KFC is
31.
Tune in, log on and download the Bridge 99 FM app on your mobile device or tablet from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store. That's the Bridge 99 FM, all one word, in the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. The Bridge 99 FM, Caribbean vibes amplified. Download now.
New crunch sandwich from KFC. Great flavor, great price, it's for me. KFC signature, hot and spicy. Chicken with the lettuce, mayo, fries and Pepsi. We've got you covered when you're hungry. The new crunch sandwich from KFC. We've got you covered when you're hungry. The new crunch sandwich from KFC.
Hungry for deals? Get the new Crunch Sandwich Combo from KFC. A small hot and spicy chicken sandwich with lettuce and mayo, plus fries and a Pepsi for just $600. Also available in barbecue. A finger-licking good deal. KFC.
You understand, I'm a maestro and I represent for which FM? Bridge FM, real rich FM. The people's champion. Our mission is love. Our vision is love. Jamaicans for justice. The people's champion. Justice for all.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Justice. We are talking the matter of the tabling of the Auditor General's report. Jeanette, Daniel, just now I had 2 students watching the program and they said to me, Miss, I'm at work and people asking me what is the big deal? What this mean for governance? What governance really mean? Are we making much ado about nothing? So Daniel, I'll start with you.
No, we're not making much about nothing. When we pay our taxes, right? So let's go to the $1 billion budget that was read out last week. Would you not want to know if all those monies are being spent the way they said they're going to be spent? If you want to know if they're going to be spent the way they're going to be spent, you would want to know if the ministry are spending the monies the way they are spending, and if the entities that the ministries control are spending the monies the way they're spending. So let's look at health. We ask ourselves, where are the hospital beds? Where are the ventilator machines? How is it that we don't have enough beds or we don't have enough pharmaceuticals? Why is it that the wait time is so long and we don't have enough nurses or enough doctors? But we know that there's money that has been given to the ministers to pay for these hospitals and clinics. You want to know if the money is being spent correctly. This is where the Auditor General comes in. The Auditor General then comes in, makes an assessment, and having made the assessment, she makes her findings as to whether the money is being spent the way it is supposed to be spent or not, and then she makes her comments as to whether or not it is being done the right way or it's not being done the right way. And that is the purpose of these reports. Now, all of this contention or quarrel is about should the reports be sent to the Parliament, how they should be sent to Parliament, and who should get them first. What seems to be the problem is that they, and Jeanette, you can jump in if you think I'm wrong or going off into the deep end, is simply whether or not the minister should get these reports before everybody else get them. And what Jeanette has explained to you is, hey, the minister, everybody get a chance to see it already, you know. This is now being presented to the public because the Auditor General, in doing her report, would have asked for, I haven't seen this, I haven't seen that, where is your explanation for this? so that she can make a comprehensive report to the people. So this who and how is all about whether the report should be kept close to the chest and not sent to the Parliament in a manner that has always been done so that the people of Jamaica get it, or whether it should be secreted away and done in another manner that the people of Jamaica won't have access to it for an extended period of time. And what we're saying is we need to follow the best practices so that the people of Jamaica get these information in good time so that they can make a decision, that it is not left up to the whim and fancy of the speaker as to when the public knows what the Auditor General has found out. Am I incorrect, Jeanette?
No, good to go.
Yes. Anything else to add?
No, great job.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
But, you see, what we've been trying to do, Mikhail, is to try to simplify this.
Yes.
So I hope you students
absolutely.
understand. So here, let us run with it now, and no pun intended.
Yeah.
When we talk about how the money is spent, it's transparency. We are talking about, because guess what happened now? All of the politicians them in the Parliament, every last one of them, and all of the public servants them who have access to how money is spent. If you cannot explain how the money is spent, how you going to know it is spent, how you going to know so you get value for money. So this helps in transparency because we will get a report now to know if the monies are being spent in the manner that they are to be spent. And you and I both know on the top of every list when we talk about Jamaica in the public space, there is corruption.
Yes.
So we just did the corruption perception index where we have been marching time at number 20, at 22 years, we've been marching time at a position that indicates that we haven't done much for corruption. We don't take it seriously because here is a situation that tells us now that we should be able to say to the people, this is how the money is being spent. None of it is being sequestered away for the benefit of any one particular individual. All of it is being spent for the people of Jamaica. So these reports are important because it allows the acts of every minister and every entity that is vested with Jamaican people money to come clean and tell us what you're doing with it. It also allows accountability. How is it being spent? So that we can understand why we're spending more money over there so or why we need more over here so.
Yes.
So this is all about budgeting. Like you do in your family. You give it in the money, what you do with it? What you do with it? The only difference is you don't have no independent auditor in your family.
Because that's an important point, Daniel, that I wouldn't want us to lose in this conversation either. Because when you can have a constitutional authority that is there through the Auditor General, that independent body that can make sure that there's accountability for the money that you pay over every month. Every time you go to the supermarket and you pay something, you see GCT charged on it. When that is being undermined, that is a challenge. Because who's going to be that independent voice to make sure that the money is being spent well? Correct. Because you're not politically aligned.
Correct.
And that is the concern, yes.
People must appreciate that the Auditor General shows no colors. Because independent as it is there to ensure that we know exactly how the monies are being spent.
Yes.
Just the same way, unfortunately, that one would have expected that the House Speaker would have been acting in a manner that is not just for the interest of the governing party, but in the interest of the people of Jamaica to ensure that every act that is done in such a transparent way and in such a manner that it can be accountable or explained for in a reasonable way, that it doesn't show partiality to any one side.
Yes.
So whilst you may come from the Jamaica Labour Party, you are actually an umpire. In other jurisdictions, I hear people like to talk about this is what happened in the UK.
UK, yes.
But in the UK, you are stripped of your political affiliation. You actually sit unassigned or unaligned to any political party. That's why you're dragged, because nobody really wants to have to strip of their political association and play that they're independent and try to make sure that it comes across as independently as possible. Because remember, I don't know how often I can say this, but as much as I can get people to understand, government is not green or orange. So when you say the government lawyer, is not the government lawyer.
Or it's not the ruling political party, yes. Yes.
No. The Attorney General does not represent just the interest of the Jamaica Labour Party. The Attorney General, if you go on the website, represents the interest of the people of Jamaica.
Yes.
So if you give an opinion, it's not your own. And I say this because maybe I was wrong. Let me disclose my hand. in my younger years of being an attorney, I worked at the Attorney General's
Yes.
chambers, and I was consistently reminded that we represent the people of Jamaica. That when I go there and I say I am counsel from the Attorney General's chambers, I am supposed to be in what they describe as a Minister of Justice. I am to be fair. So we have to dispel that fallacy to everybody.
Yes.
The Attorney General is not the lawyer for the Jamaica Labour Party. They have their own funds and they can hire their own lawyers. The People's National Party, they can hire their own lawyers because they have their own funds. People of Jamaica, we pay with taxes, and we pay the Attorney General. The Attorney General isn't paid by any political party. So how fair would it be, and let me ask you that, for our taxes to be paying the Attorney General and we cannot get the opinion? How fair can it be that the Attorney General's salary is being paid by the people of Jamaica? And they're expected to look out for the interests of the people of Jamaica. And when they give advice as to how the government should run, the government that represents the people of Jamaica, it is kept secret. Is that reasonable and fair?
Yes.
When we talk about being transparent and accountable?
Buzzwords.
Or is it that I'm expecting
Yes,
too much?
we need to adhere to the principle of it and not just use the terminology. But Jeanette, we're going to be hearing, we have Parliament today at 2. And outside of having Minister Clark closing out the budget debate,
Right.
do you expect and would you ask the House Speaker to speak on this particular matter? And what would you expect of her?
Absolutely. There is nothing, even though the main thing on the agenda, and it should be the focus of everybody, and that's what's so unfortunate, Mikhail, that we've had an excellent budget presentation by the government. Lots of things to look forward to in the next 12 months. And we have this shadow now hanging over what should be a closing big speech from the Minister of Finance. But yes, I cannot see how, in governing properly, these concerns could be out amongst the public, amongst the media, and the Speaker not address it. So I would expect it. But the other thing I'm expecting is the Speaker to back up her own words. I wrote it down on November 7th when she gave the ruling. She said that everything in our ruling is supported by what is in the Attorney General's opinion. So if the Speaker is saying to Jamaica, don't worry about it, guys. Everything that the Attorney General said I'm to do regarding this matter is what I'm doing. We are calling for the Attorney General's opinion. It is the people of Jamaica who pay for the light, the water, the salaries of the people, the Solicitor General and all the lawyers down there. This is our business. So this is not a private matter. You understand, Mikhail? This is not a private matter between the Speaker and her attorney. It is the people of Jamaica paying that bill.
Yes.
And we deserve, in light of the situation, and let me say this, I was very pleased to hear the person who is now the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Member Marlene Malahoo Fort, who was the former Attorney General of Jamaica, get up in the House that day of the ruling and said that though she does not believe that every Attorney General's opinion must be made public, and I agree, right? She was of the view that in the circumstances, if you go and get up, let me finish what she said. She said in the circumstances, she believed that this opinion should be shared. But not because the Speaker shared this one should the public think that everyone after this ought to be shared. I agree wholeheartedly. This is important. The people of Jamaica, this is their business. We are going to disrupt a practice we have had for over 100 years. We should be satisfied that the right thing is done on our behalf. So I am hoping that the Speaker is going to release and table the Attorney General's opinion. And if she does not, I'm asking every Jamaican, you come to JAMP's website. You can find your MP there. Send a letter to your MP. If you come to our legislative tracker, you go to jampja.org. There's one called the Legislative Tracker. If you click on that, there's a big fat envelope that comes up saying, send a note to Parliament. And if all of us send a note, we talk now, Mikhail, now it's action.
Yes.
Citizens have to get involved. You send a note to Parliament and share how you feel. This is how we talk to our elected representatives.
Yes.
So just go to JAMP's website, hit the Legislative Tracker to all the students listening, and just say to the Parliament, we believe that the Attorney General's opinion should be shared.
Yes.
And I believe I live in a jurisdiction where every time I see the people of Jamaica, and it has never taken thousands, get up and say to them, Parliament, we're leaning in and this is what we want. I cannot think of a moment when we didn't get what we want, Michael.
Yes.
So let's not just listen, Jamaica. Let's not just understand and learn. Let us get involved and express our views to the Parliament of Jamaica.
And by the way, I heard you, Daniel, yesterday evening, and I can't say I disagree about the need to perhaps take this matter to court.
To the court, yeah.
But, it is sad that we're here. It's sad that we're here because at some point, if you have a legal opinion, it goes back to the point that it needs to be shared, and we have to have an idea of what is guiding the House Speaker and whether or not the House Speaker is acting contrary to what is provided for her. Because even if the House Speaker sees something wrong, the question to you, Daniel, as an attorney, is she empowered to exercise this discretion and empowered to remedy something that, to my mind and to my reading, is not outlined in law?
Well, as you see, you put me on a little spot now. Let's make that distinction. One would have to look at, take for instance, the opinion is an opinion. It's not a ruling. And if it is that we are all capable of being wrong, so the better position would be to ask the court itself, who is tasked with that responsibility. It is the courts that we have that are responsible for the interpreting of law. So where there's a dispute as it relates to the definition or the interpretation, our first port of call would be the court. So the Attorney General would present their position. Clearly, those representing, and this is where the House Speaker would have to get her own attorney now. This is how it's how scrumptious it is. Because if the Attorney General has one view and the House Speaker has one view, somebody has to appear on her behalf to present her view. And thereafter, the courts would then say, this is the definition that they have taken from the year, and they would certainly look to practice to inspire that. But you've also asked the question whether it's within her purview. Where I stand, I do not see that you can say it is my ruling without there being disclosure. So when you say it's my ruling and then you ask the clerk, of course, to ensure she follows your ruling, I have a little bit of a disquiet there. And I would say that I would err on the side of caution by ensuring that my ruling is strong in law. Because if it's not strong in law, then you'd be asking the clerk to do something that she shouldn't be doing. And we get into the position with the letter.
Yes.
To my mind, I think we need to have a look at what we would call grievance procedures. How it's written, what was said, the tone of the letter, as many would describe it, and the fact that it's going to be pasted on your file. Gross dereliction, those are magic words. Gross dereliction of duty should only be found when there has been some kind of hearing to make a determination that she was in gross dereliction of your duty. So you can't just say somebody's in gross dereliction without a finding.
Exactly.
Where did this finding come from? Did the person have an opportunity? In law, we call it natural justice, whereas they have an opportunity to address your concern and to raise their defense and to actually say, this is my position. Was this done? Because you use those magic words, I ask the question, wait, was there a hearing? Was there a determination that was made that she is so found? Because I think the House Speaker likes to talk about the standing orders and she goes by the book. There is actually the grievance procedure that is set out for how you deal with public servants when there is a suspicion that they're derelict in their duty. To my mind, that would be required before you come across and say what you have said in that missive. I am a little bit concerned. I understand that the clerk says, I know nothing about this letter.
At the time when Gleena had reached out to her, yes.
Right, and I'm thinking, wow, we've taken the liberty of disclosing this documentation when all it would have required is for you to disclose the opinion of the Attorney General and then say, you were advised to carry this out. Please explain why you did not do so. Because if we all were on the same page, then we all would know whether the Speaker's ruling stands or the Speaker's ruling is fallible.
Yes.
At this point, we don't know.
Thank you so much. We have to leave it there. Appreciate you both always. And, JFJ is supporting both the JAMP and NIA on this so that we can get the type of governance that the country deserves.
Thank you, Michael.
Have
Thank
a
you
good
for
day.
having us.
Thank you, Michael. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
I will take the break.
they're off. The Bridge 99 FM is on track, bringing you horse racing from King Manus Park this and every Saturday and Sunday.
It's a groundbreaking partnership with Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited
and the Big Bridge 99 FM for gripping sport of King's races to you everywhere.
Simulcasting on Jam Radio in New York.
Up to 20 races on Saturdays and Sundays from 11:30 a.m. through 6 p.m.
It's horsepower from your favorite thoroughbreds head-to-head for victory.
All this plus mad music mixes.
Sometimes some of them are rally back.
Only on the Bridge 99 FM to the world.
Yo, dancehall can't start when the money must shut the content.
Right. Introducing the Bridge 99 FM Dancehall Chart Show.
I are the one and they are what?
All about our weekly top 10 music countdown, our Bridge Spotlight featuring artists and music producers, and our chat with the Bridge Jocks and music director.
We bring you in on the action. Just send your videos every week for your favorite artists on the chart in our Fan Affair segment. Do it WhatsApp 876-551-5782.
Jogger!
It's new, it's authentic, it's trend-setting, and only on The Bridge 99 FM Dancehall Chart Show, hosted by Shell.
You know the vibes this Friday at 1 p.m. at the wickedest thing since dancehall. You know the thing go, we're bringing the vibes to the where, to the what, to the world.
Borderless connections, our culture amplified. The Bridge 99 FM.
The people's champion. Our mission is love. Our vision is love. Jamaicans for justice. The people's champion. Justice for all. Justice under the law. Justice, Jamaica demand. Right to life, right to liberty. Justice for all. Justice under the law.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Justice. Jade, we're back together again.
Yes, I'm here. I was listening to you and the crew talking about the budget and the
Civil Society Advocates crew.
Yes,
that's what you're
Civil
calling
Society
us.
Advocates crew. Yes,
Oh Lordy,
the intellectual crew.
Your God, but you know it's. I admire and have such great respect for both women, Jeanette Calder and Danielle Archer. And I hope our listeners were paying keen attention to the issue, because this is beyond, again, a simple matter of misinterpretation. With the greatest of respect to the House Speaker of Law, this goes to the core of governance, understanding that the Constitution is structured in a way to keep people in check.
Yes.
So that when you exercise whatever power you may have, it is done within a particular framework. And I think the House Speaker has overstepped in several instances, in this particular area. And, we will listen to Parliament today, but I hope our listeners will make their own views known to the government. And when I say government here, I'm talking about the ruling political party. And we need to stop using that term interchangeably, because the government, the three branches thereof, is legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. But we use government interchangeably with political party, and we need to stop. Because I think that may lend to some confusion.
I certainly agree with that last piece. Before you go into your final few topics, let me just say what the trivia question was. And
I'm sorry. That's why you shouldn't leave me alone on this thing,
That's perfectly fine. We did post it on our Instagram and we got a response there. And the question was simply, for what reasons can the Auditor General be removed from office? And the answer was that the Auditor General can be removed if they did not properly discharge their functions, or they're unable to discharge their functions, or if they have misbehaved. So if there is misbehavior in the role.
And those standards are very high.
Extremely high.
And there are processes to go through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and the winner was Edith Rose, so we'll reach out to you via DM.
So last week, my God, our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, did a marathon with that 5-hour budget debate.
It was something.
Man, I traveled to country, park, come out of my car and go where I'm going, and it was still going on.
Shame to say I dozed off lightly.
You did?
Lightly.
But we don't do political commentary, so I won't go into certain things. But I trust there are certain areas that jumped out from a human rights perspective, some things that were missing, and it follows very good job last week, Jade.
Thank you.
And I know you're not a fan of certain things, but you did very well with the economic discussions with Mr. Chung and Keenan. Very good. But, you know, when you put the two, I've enjoyed all the debates. I didn't get the chance to watch Mr. Robinson's, but all the debates from the leader of the opposition, the Prime Minister, and Dr. Clark, who will also close out today, you heard several things coming out. For example, the leader of the opposition speaking, not talking the House Speaker conversation here today, not on this show, but he raised the matter, for example, of a constitutional reform. And though you have civics in school, you know my position on that I don't think the curriculum goes far enough. So the leader of the opposition spoke to matters of that. He ended his debate on the wall downtown following the walkout of Parliament.
Yes.
The Prime Minister came back in, did a good job as well, talking some critical areas that I want to point out. For example, the Wildlife Protection Act, that's the name of it.
One of them, yes, the
And
Wildlife Protection Act and the National Resource Conservation Act.
And you've heard Dr. Moody, for example, from JET, saying that the fines were not good. Can't hold anybody accountable. And the Prime Minister has promised that there will be an increase from?
So a major increase under the NRCA from 50,000 to 5 million and an increase under the Wildlife Protection Act from 1.5 million to 5 million.
Now, for those of us who have been watching debate, I've been watching since what, 18? Well, before that, I've had an interest in this area. Every year, promises are made. Jamaican people, you have to ensure that promises are kept. That's where we need to go with accountability. But some good announcements were made. Some of them with the greatest of respect to both the opposition leader and the Prime Minister. I'm not sure if they remember that some of these promises are repeat. But that's another conversation to have, which is why we must pay attention. So what sound like brand new spicy things, they said it 2 years ago though. So accountability is important. The last thing to point out here, well, two things, and I will allow you to speak to the domestic violence. You want to start out with that?
Oh, you start out.
Okay. No, there was a shocking video. Kirk Wright covered it on TVJ. 27-year-old Romario Sterling from Bugwalk was killed. And the police claimed that they visited the area at a particular time, guns were found, and there was a shootout. Subsequent CCTV video emerged, purported to be that of Mr. Sterling in the video. But what is seen is a man who appears to be following the instruction from law enforcement officers. He was kneeling at one point, complying again, and then what sounded to be a gunfire was heard.
Yes.
Single.
Yes.
And it raised several alarms for us. Because while we don't know if that footage is what it is, and perhaps had fulsomely captured everything, it raises the question around the differences in the accounts of the residents and the police, and the fact that there are allegations that the police had damaged the camera.
Yes.
That is what the family said to JFJ, because we're in dialogue with the family. Yeah? And we spoke immediately about the need for the body-worn cameras. That's what it goes to. Because if it is that the police's account is correct, then the police would be protecting themselves.
Yes.
And if the resident's account is correct, then the matter could easily and quickly be disposed of because the evidence is there.
Yes.
But it cannot be that we have to be, you're pulled over by police, you quickly grab your phone because you want to capture the imagery. It cannot be. And then several days after, 2 more killings done by Old Harbour this time. And you saw where in successive days past, the residents burning tires and so on because they're adamant that this was extrajudicial killing. One of the residents said they have lost hope in the justice system because from their account, Indicom came a little bit too late in their estimation, and therefore the evidence that would be there, like the shell casings and so on, them said that scrape up a long time. Those are the types of challenges why we have police impunity continuing in the country. So again, we're calling on Dr. Blake, the newly installed police commissioner. Get with it with a human rights approach and starting with the body-worn cameras. And next week, I hope we will continue with that discussion.
Yes.
We're up on time, but Jade, please, I hope we can steal a little bit of the time. Domestic Violence Act.
Hopefully we won't need to steal the time. As you're all aware, we would have seen the Domestic Violence Act amended late last year in December, and we saw some new provisions. And if you go back and look at our last December episode, you would see our opinion on those provisions and some suggestions that we would have made for a joint select committee to be considering the act fulsomely. That has started. It started on March 20th, the first meeting of the committee, which was really, background setting up the operation of the committee and so. But the committee has already asked for its submissions from the public, and the deadline for those submissions is April 30. So, of course, Jamaicans for Justice will be making a submission.
But we encourage the public. You don't have to know law, but you know when something wrong, you can write a one paragraph.
Absolutely. So as if you are a victim or a person who knows a victim or a survivor, you don't have to write about the legal provisions. You can write what you think your Domestic Violence Act should be considering in as plain as language as you can manage, and send that to your parliament for them to consider, which is their duty.
Yes.
So we hope that you will participate in the process. We hope that you'll follow along with the meetings of the committee and keep abreast as to what's happening with the Domestic Violence Act. So next week we'll be back with a new episode.
Yes. Hopefully the one that we mentioned, police reform in the country. Yeah. So thank you so much, Jade, and thanks for joining me in the last 10 minutes.
You are very welcome, Mikkel. I'm Jade Williams.
And I'm Mikkel Jackson, Executive Director.
Jamaicans for justice, the people's champion. Justice for all. Justice under the law. Justice, Jamaica demand. Right to life, right to liberty. Out of many we are one in a Jamaica. Make it a better place for the boys and girls. Created equal by the creator. For equal rights and opportunities. No to unlawful detention and police brutalization. Class, gender, race or religion. We not tolerate discrimination.
To join the fight against injustice, contact us at 755-4524 or Jamaicans4Justice.org.
The people's champion.
Borderless Connections, our culture amplified. The Bridge 99 FM.
Catch the KFC sponsored hour on The Bridge